It gives me a very unsafe feeling to be a citizen of Malaysia because it feels like I'm not protected in the eyes of the law. So technically, no matter how unsafe I feel, it's like the moment he does something only, like if he touches me or like he attacks me or he kills me, then only the police are gonna be like, okay, now we'll do something. But before that, they're kind of like, nah, he just follows you around, no big deal. Like what am I supposed to do? Find my body in some like the Klang River, then only you will do something, bro. Like, oh my gosh.
The Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Mas Ermiyati Samsudin, has revealed that the government plans to make stalking a crime by this year.
I don't know what for, even though I tell him to like back off, to not disturb me anymore. But all his reason is to kind of just come to me and apologize.
It feels like you couldn't trust the world. You couldn't trust anyone.
According to 2014, a study done by University Science Malaysia, 9% of the women in Peninsular Malaysia who have ever been in a relationship has experienced domestic violence.
They don't want to be home. They don't want to be found out.
But whenever I'm going home that time, I always feel like the sense of people following me. Hi everyone, welcome to Jagung Production. My name is Eric and today I'll be the main host for our podcast today, joined by Gloria.
Ta-da! My name is Gloria and today I'll be the co-host of the day. And today it is very honored to have two of our very, very good friends, Yasmin Hendro and also Elsa Yao. And to talk about today's topic, the unspoken truth of being stalked in Malaysia.
Alright, so from what I know, you guys mentioned that you have experience with stalking. That's why we are here to slightly ask you questions about stalking. So, say, what do you guys define stalking?
Personally, I feel stalking is more like you having a 24/7 CCTV on your back. It may not be 24/7, but you just feel as though that somebody's watching you 24/7 behind your back, and you just don't feel safe anymore. So I guess that's stalking.
Yeah, I think also like if they wait for you at certain places or you don't expect them to, or you just like walking down the street, then you just randomly see them all the time, like not just one time, like many times. I think that can also be considered stalking. Yeah.
So, what's your feeling towards stalking?
I think it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, it changes your life after you get stalked by someone. Like, okay online stalking, we all do it let's face it. But when it comes to physical, like you don't expect to see them in certain places and you don't even know what they want, they may just like think it's fun to stalk you, or they don't even know that they're doing it wrong.
Because regardless of the reason the stalker is stalking us or anybody, it's always unacceptable, no matter what. Because of like the effects that happen to the victims itself, it's horrible itself. So stalking, regardless of whatever reason, stalking is bad, stalking is horrible, and it should be stopped.
I want to point out that just now you talk about like stalking always constantly having a 24-hour CCTV behind you.
Yeah.
So knowing like CCTV, there's always someone watching.
Yeah.
So would you rather consider like online stalking as like having a CCTV on your back constantly?
Online stalking, I guess it depends.
Yeah, I guess it really depends. If it's not so excessive to the point where like if you see your friend in Sushi King or like the person you like in Sushi King and you just like specifically go there just to make sure that they are there and you see them, I think that crosses the line now. But if you just scroll through your profile, I think we all do that.
Yeah. I think everybody at one point we kind of stalk people on social media.
Yeah.
So it all just depends, honestly.
As long as they are not harming you or using your photos for not
whatever
purpose.
bad reasons.
Yeah.
So has stalking affected a huge part of your life?
Yeah, I think for me personally, like even though because I have had stalking experiences and like it's not fun, but even though I may not be actively being stalked now, but it still really affects me. Like sometimes if I walk down like just SS15 and I see someone that vaguely resembles him, like I get like a little bit of anxiety kicks in and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to run kind of thing, like then I start looking around and like looking straight at him and making sure it's not him, anyone who vaguely resembles him or sounds like him sometimes is a bit scary. Yeah.
For me, based on my past experiences, I had this stalking issue quite a while back. I still remember all the like emotions that went through my head and how distressed I was in basically every moment. Because you just don't feel safe anymore. You're not at peace, when you're stalking. When somebody's being stalked and when I'm being stalked, I just feel like my head is not completely at peace. It's not clear. Because all you're doing is just basically thinking, are they there? Are they watching you? What are they doing? So you're just not alone, honestly.
Yeah. And if you don't see them, you may be thinking like, oh my gosh, are they gonna come back when I'm at my most vulnerable? Or like, are they gonna like just randomly appear? Or are they like planning something? Yeah, you never know all these things out.
Yeah.
It's quite scary.
So these things happen when you're alone, especially.
Yeah.
But I want to bring up when it comes to like people around you. Like, does it affect like your family, relatives, or your friends in general?
Yeah, for me, especially my family. My father was so like, oh my gosh, he was a bit paranoid for a while. Yeah, especially like for a while also like, I cannot go to like LRT stations alone or something. Somebody has to accompany me. Which sometimes made me feel bad, like, oh man, like this person will follow me back, like, oh. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think like for mine also, like I had to bother my mom a lot when I was being stalked. I had to kind of call my mom or just like in random times of the day when she doesn't want to be called. So I'll just call her like, mommy, help me, mommy, I need you to come now.
Yeah.
So, and she will kind of get pissed, but then at the same time she understands. But basically it's sort of like a bothersome because you have to like disturb your mom, and also I have to sometimes ask help from friends. And it might not be, I mean, they are okay with it, but we still feel like bad, to kind of disturb them most of the time.
Because like in your perspective, it's not even their stuff.
Yeah.
It's not irresponsible.
It's our problem, but we have to kind of
it's not your problem, it's the stalker's problem.
But because what the stalker doing, it automatically changes into a problem where we, no matter what, even though we try to kind of deal with it alone, but we still need help from other people, or else we couldn't make it. So,
Especially when you're alone.
Yeah, being alone.
That is the most scary.
So from what we discussed so far at the moment, what we understand when it comes to stalking is it's an activity that will like interrupt your daily lifestyle.
Yes,
an activity.
definitely.
Yeah. So on average, stalking does affect like 1 in 6 women and 1 in 19 men on average in their lifetime now. So I'll talk about my experience when it comes to stalking. It all happens when I'm working, and of course there's someone approach me at first, and initially I decline, but whenever like I'm going home that time, I always feel like the sense of people following me. Yeah.
Wait, is it a girl or a boy following you?
That time it was a guy that followed me after work.
Do you notice them like coming to you, like if you're going to other places? Do you have you ever seen them actually kind of peeking at you?
Yes, for that. But here's the thing though, that person that stalked me, I do not have an intimate relationship with them. So it's a complete stranger that I met during my work time and who had approached me, but then after I declined, they eventually stayed up until my finishing hours.
Wow.
Yes.
No. Well, what time was the finishing hours?
That time it was 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has
So
it gone later than that?
No.
No,
Yeah.
6.
So during that time 6, it's rather like, the off office hour where like there are like business people like coming down and stuff like that. So he was following me in a crowd.
Oh.
Yeah, which is really, really scary.
Yeah.
Is he thinking that he's shooting a movie or something?
But after he follow you and stuff, like I'm assuming he follow you to your car and stuff, right? Then did he like try to push you or anything?
No.
Or he just left?
Has he ever like made like a weird face like from far? Is he smiling or
Not that I know.
he's just watching you
Yeah.
from far?
Just very
Wow. Did he ever come back? Like came back to your?
Apparently that's a one-time thing.
Oh.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Wow.
But how did it affect you? Like emotionally?
At the moment, it also affected my self-esteem as a guy, because I'm always supposed to stood up as a man to be confident. But when it comes to people stalking me who may have like the same sexuality as me, for example masculinity,
it just affects my ego as a man to protect myself in general. So it just gives me like the idea of wanting to protect myself at all times.
And also, while he is observing you, he might know what's your what can you do, and then he might come up with another plan that could handle you.
Yes. So from what I understand, right, there are actually apparently two types of stalking. So one which relates to intimate stalking and one which relates to non-intimate stalking. So my experience is not intimate stalking, but this does happen when it comes to relationship also. So having intimate relationship with someone else, after let's just say something happened in the relationship, the partner that was once in the relationship would tend to stalk the victim. Yeah. So I'll bring it up when it comes to what is considered as stalking. Yeah.
So, for your experience, what do you think they stalk for? I mean, I believe that they have their own jobs, they have their own life, but why is there stalking?
I think,
Why are they?
personally for me, I feel like, specifically when I was going through it, I think he was more of like, he didn't realize that it was wrong. And to me, that was the scariest part because he didn't realize what he was doing is actually like hurting me. Like, I think because he wanted to be friends and stuff, but he couldn't approach it in a way where we would normally do it lah. But he didn't. Yeah, he wanted like more of a relationship, but he didn't realize what he was doing was really very wrong. What he was doing was very very scary lah. But I also know of people who get stalked because the stalker thought it was fun, to feel whatever sick desire they have inside of them. Yeah, they are like, oh, just follow this girl around. And like, oh, it's so fun, kill time. Like, I think that's really disgusting lah. It's really like very It's like, oh my god.
But is it he, right? Is it he?
Yes.
Is he an adult or something?
Yeah, he is.
How old is he?
How old is he? Or are you not comfortable with
No lah, I can say lah.
Uh-huh.
He was my personal experience when he was 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was same age lah. Yeah.
So, what about you?
Okay, so based on mine, I had two stalking experiences. One guy who I had a past relationship with. Initially, it became it was an online stalking thing. Well, when we ended our relationship like years ago, we didn't really end it well. So all he's doing right now, coming back to me and like trying to message me, trying to come to me, trying to like see me on other places, is to apologize. I don't know what for, even though I tell him to like back off, to not disturb me anymore. But all his reason is to kind of just come to me and apologize, even though I already said like just don't. I even threatened to like call police. I did kind of call his parents and his family members, his close friends, but nothing worked. So I just, until now, I'm still going through this problem. Beforehand, the other guy, this was a guy that I met for tuition. And I just met him, and I think the reason why he started stalking me was because that day itself, the first day I met him was when he kind of like told me that he liked me and he wanted to like get together with me. And I said no because I just met him, it's just so weird. So I was just like, okay, I don't want to be with you because I just met you. It's so weird, So I was like, okay. But then days pass and there are times where he comes to the tuition, but he doesn't go inside tuition. He waits like at the car. There's like a parking zone outside the tuition place. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that he was sort of like hiding in between cars and looking at me through the window, the car window. So he was like just peeking and like staring, and that's when I knew I was like, I need to run, but I gotta act casual, because you cannot kind of like go.
You don't want to scare them.
Yeah, because they know that you're there, so I don't want them to know that I noticed them. Mm-hmm. So after that, that's when like it started. That's when basically the reason why he was like stalking me was because he wanted to get to know me and wanting to be with me. Yeah, because after that physical stalking, I kind of like avoided going, but then he started stalking me online. So yeah, that's a different story though.
Yeah, that's a very, very creepy one. Because you mentioned that when you were young, right?
Yeah, pretty much when I was 16 or 17.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Still a child at that time.
Yeah. Still that.
My point was just to conclude out, most of the stalking was because of the stalkers. There's something going on in their mind, in their emotions, their physical, their
They're just
psychology.
their desires, their delusions in their head.
Yeah, and no matter what, they would find themselves a reason to do the stalking.
Yeah.
Whether it's a simple one or it's a loved one or even the imagination is not, it's in their mind, it's only in their mind. So that's why they say like, oh, this girl, this guy might like me. What if I can do something, I can follow him? Maybe follow, it's a company for them, which they feel like, or that person will feel touched, will feel warm-hearted if they follow them, but what they don't know, it's
wrong.
It's wrong.
and
It's definitely wrong. Yeah. So do you guys aware that this stalking without any physical touch or confronted or something, just following you silently is actually not allowed in Malaysia?
Yeah, I think I know a little bit about that, and I think that's really it gives me very unsafe feeling to be a citizen of Malaysia, because it feels like I'm not protected in the eyes of the law. So technically, no matter how unsafe I feel, it's like the moment he does something, only like if he touches me or like he attacks me or he kills me, then only the police are gonna be like, okay, now we'll do something. But before that, they're kind of like, nah, he just follows you around, no big deal. Like what am I supposed to do? Find my body in some like the Klang River, then only you will do something, bro. Like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
And worst come to worst, if you are trying to protect yourself when they are trying to do something, before they do something, you're trying to do something to protect yourself, and you hit him, or maybe you pepper spray him or something. That the moment that stalker, if he goes through the police report, it's your fault.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
Not fair.
It's not fair at all.
Yeah, it's like the people who are supposed to protect you, which is the police, they are not going to protect you because
Instead,
you
they
protected
make
yourself.
you the
They
victim.
make you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, often this also relates to the police blaming you on like the way you dress.
Yes, in Malaysia it always comes back to that, Just because someone attacks you or someone starts stalking you, they always blame the dress, the outfit, the appearance, and I just feel that that's unfair. You have to look at the one that's actually doing the problem, the one that's actually making the problem. So we shouldn't just look at appearances, because we don't know what's going on in their head. We have to look at their perspective, not ours, because sometimes the victims, we don't even know what's going on. It just comes to you, and you have to accept it regardless. So
and you hear stories about how like children, when they walk home from school or something and they get followed by people, like how can you blame the child's appearance? They are literally wearing a school uniform. If not, just ban all the uniforms, is it? Because apparently they are stalker magnets. Like, oh my gosh, it's just crazy.
And there's one rapping museum overseas. They actually showcase different costume that the victims wearing when they are being stalked or something. And most of them are t-shirts and long pants. There's nothing coming out. Nothing showing out or something like that. That's the problem.
I also saw some of them like were wearing pajamas, and
pajamas.
These like sick-headed people are like, oh, I want to go after them just because they wear like that. It's just so messed up. It's very messed up.
The stalkers are trying to use another excuses to cover up their own fault.
Exactly.
That's right.
So I'll actually bring up, because since now that Laura mentioned that there is no laws related to stalking, there are a few laws that are close to stalking. So one of it is Communication and Multimedia Act 1998. Section 233 of this act says that it is an offense to send annoying, abuse, threatening, or harassing messages to other person. According to this law, like, just want to ask for your opinion. Do you ever face issues like catcalls ever, like while in
Online or physical?
let's just say during your act, like the stalking act is happening, like, while being stalked, do you ever catfish call or catfish or like from afar? Do they say harassing things?
The stalker themselves don't. Yeah, because I mean, they don't want to be found out.
The stalker don't do it.
Yeah.
Mostly it's just random people on the streets that
Yeah.
will catcall. If you're asking whether we've been catcalled, yes.
Yeah.
I think basically all women have been catcalled before because you just go on the street and people will just start whistling or just calling like hey, this kind of stuff. But stalker, in terms of stalker, I don't think they want to do that because they don't want to be known. They don't want to be found out.
Yeah.
Like Elsa said. So stalking is a different thing. Catcall is a different thing.
So the thing is about this law, right? If let's just say you're being harassed by a stalker, like on normal occasion, it is actually not like considered as illegal because they didn't harass you yet.
Yeah.
Right. So apart from that, there is actually another law called Computer Crimes Act 1997. It is an offense to install tracking device and or to hack into someone's computer or online account under Section 3 of this act. This also refers to like using online or like devices, like personal devices to track you where you go.
And also like the webcam thingy. They hack into your webcam
Yes,
and then shoot like to watch you. Yeah, it's a CCTV. That's why.
Yeah, and also there's a penal code relating to this act that it is a criminal offense to do anything to insult the modesty of another and or to intrude upon the privacy of another user under Section 509. So when it comes to domestic violence in a relationship, in the Act 2007, any form of violence against a spouse amounts to domestic violence. So this doesn't refers to only hate speech, but it refers to physical touch. So I'll bring up to a real case of stalking, ones that happened in Malaysia. So these names are actually covered for because of their privacy.
Yeah.
So a girl named Alicia mentioned before a story about meeting a guy named Kevin. So this was told by legal.my, and she was in her 30s and she met this guy known as charming and knowledgeable. So this guy approached her during her workplace and exposed shady dealings about the company. So that's what brought her trust when it comes to the stalking. So what happened was she notices the shady business and she exited the company. So because of her trusting the guy, she actually had a relationship with this guy. This all started when she and the guy actually eventually started a business together. So after the business, they eventually fall in love, and this is where all the crazy things that I would say lah. So in an interview, she mentioned that in the beginning, he was how he was. He would tell like he can't hit me and he can't hit himself. So, but eventually he would bang his head on the steering wheel, showing physical violence to himself, but not to the spouse.
All
So
the
he never
promises.
beat her.
Yeah, he never beat
sort
her.
of like put his aggression on something else, like an object.
Like an emotional manipulation type of thing lah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even from this story itself, you can roughly tell that he's quite manipulative. Yeah,
And
he's trying-
abusive.
Yeah, emotionally abusive.
although he wasn't physically abusing the girlfriend, which is Alicia, but he was technically taking out all the anger on him. So this girl doesn't believe in violence, but she described this behavior as him trying to assert a certain power to intimidate her. Yeah. So it's like to tell that
I won't hurt you, but I will hurt myself and kind of like make the girl like trust him more.
And
you know?
be the dominant in the
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
And make her feel guilty, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not
Myself.
leave.
Yeah.
So this is a manipulative part in this story. So at this time, as time goes on, over time, he did physically abuse her. She did not specify what he physically abused her, but he would eventually blame her for her wrongdoings and then later apologize sincerely for his behavior.
Oh my gosh.
So you can imagine someone like hitting themselves, then later go on to hit on you, and then later then apologizing. Although after he had blamed you. So what happened? This is what we know more than just a toxic relationship. This is considered as a domestic violence in a relationship. Yeah. So there were times, eventually their relationship stopped, and there are times where this guy eventually start to follow her because she was avoiding him. To the point like he was appearing to his guardhouse, like to his apartment, to her apartment, and to her workplace and all. So what she did was she called the police, but the police could not do anything. This is also due to the law that is implemented, and there's no wrong saying that they are stalking for like you could get into jail for stalking someone else.
Some more there is no evidence.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. There is
Yeah,
no
that's why. And
evidence.
some more if the stalker says that, oh, I'm just on the way.
Yeah.
I'm just on the same way.
The coincidence that
Yeah,
I'm
Because stalking mostly it just comes like out of nowhere, you know. How are you gonna get evidence? Like suddenly you're in a train and suddenly he just suddenly comes up. You're not gonna immediately take your phone because you'll be like emotionally distressed, and what you gotta think of what to do to avoid him. So how are we going to kind of get the evidence when you're in the moment, you know? So it's pretty much very hard to get the evidence itself.
Especially for the one who first experienced, because they have no pepper spray, nothing to protect themselves or
Yeah.
with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, this guy, Kevin, which also had manipulated some of her friends, which comes to her friends, relatives, and social workers, they manipulated them to hate the girl in hopes that the girl will only turn to him when it comes to like problems and
Like he just cut everyone off from her lah. Like so she will be alone.
Yeah.
And she will feel like she needs to come back to
Yeah.
him to survive
Feels
his life.
needy.
No,
I'm the only one in your world.
I will protect you, even though he was the one that actually ruined the whole relationship.
Yeah, that's why.
No.
So this is a form of intimate stalking. Yeah. So intimate stalking refers to like after a domestic violence, then the relationship break up, the victim often gets stalked by their previous ex. So from understanding, what do you think of is there a reason why someone who once know you so much wants to stalk you even though the relationship has ended?
I think I'm not really sure, but I think basically it's mostly of like love, their perception of love. You know, because like you had a relationship before, and probably he became to the point where he became obsessive with the girl to the point where he couldn't. Last time he lived his life without this girl. So when he lived this life with this girl, he felt like, oh, this girl felt really good, and he couldn't imagine his life back then anymore. So I think he feels the need to like just continue stalking because I need this girl back no matter what. And his perception of love is like, I need to get this girl back because I love her and I want to be with her and I want to continue living this life because he couldn't imagine himself being in his previous life anymore. So
Yeah. Actually, I quite like what you said about his perception of love. Like, that is not love. I think that's like obsession, but he perceives obsession as love.
Yeah.
Which is a very unhealthy and a very toxic, manipulative kind of love lah.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because they can't let go. Like, you know, everybody loves love. Everybody wants to feel love. So, when he feels like, oh, this girl likes me so much, and suddenly it's gone, then he's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do now.
I cannot live my life anymore. I need
Exactly.
to continue and get her back no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's why stalking is involved. That's why stalking starts again.
Obsession. Yeah.
It might be the excitement he got while controlling.
Yes.
Controlling
The
the
sense of control.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think the effects of being stalked?
Effects.
Oh, I think a lot of effects, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think it affects your mental health the most.
Yeah.
Like, out of everything, you can look fine. Like, maybe they never did anything to you. So, outward appearance, you don't have any bruises, you don't have any stab wounds or anything.
But
inside-
eventually you gain stuff. Like you can get anxiety, paranoia,
Yes.
basically everything. Start having panic attacks. all because of one simple thing. Even though they don't touch you physically, you don't know the stuff that's going on inside you. It's even worse. You start shaking, you start having like, I don't know, for me, when I start shaking, I start like, my body starts heating up, and I will start like slurring my words, and I'll be, I don't know, I'm just really at this point where I don't feel normal anymore. I feel like I'm low on sugar in a way. I'm low on sugar, and I'm just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. And like even for me, like the sense of distrust among your friends, because like when I brought up my story to some people in authority, they told me like, you better be careful of your friends. You don't know who's telling information about you, like to your stalker and stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So like I have to be careful about this guy who is actively stalking me. Now I need to be careful about my friends also. Then what? I need to be careful of my house also. I don't know. So it was just like, it was crazy like you get all these mental health like stuff. A lot of damage.
And at the point where when you're living your life, you just don't feel at peace. You don't find comfort anywhere anymore, because you somehow lost trust in your friends. Like in Elsa's condition, like you lost trust in friends. Sometimes family. There are some families that actually give information, from what I know from some friends.
You get depression because you don't know who to go with. You feel like you couldn't trust the world. You couldn't trust anyone. And also, when you got this kind of stress, you will start bad habits. For example, like drinking, smoking, not sleeping. All those would cause your body immune system goes down really, really quickly, like immediately. Also, because of this physical health and mental health, the things that happens to you, your body, it will affect and cause your work performance, or even your performance at school and college. It will drag down your results, all those, which is not very good, that you might have dropping out of school, in this kind of thing. And it and also effects on social life, that as what I mentioned just now, you couldn't trust anyone, so you couldn't really talk to anybody else. You just lock yourself up in your world, and not the best way for you, the best solution that you can thought is that not to get in touch with anybody else, so that the stalker couldn't stalk you, right? And also, the money wise, you don't work, you don't study, you don't have money. That's the point, right? And also, if you wanted to go to the court, like report or to sue them, that costs a really
lawyer fees.
That's why the lawyer fees really crazy.
Borders your
That's
whole
why.
entire life.
And somehow, if you have no evidence, you couldn't get like the government lawyer to help you out of that.
This is what happens when you come to speaking to authorities, like what Sarah said. You will get blamed for something. Like you will be the victim.
Sorry. Can you repeat that one again? Because I was sneezing.
So this is what happens to what Gloria said earlier. So you can't complain it to the authority, because they will act like they'll treat you as the victim instead of like the stalking as the crime, right? So I'm going to talk about the statistics when it comes to other countries. So according to 2014, a study done by University Science Malaysia, 9% of the women in Peninsular Malaysia who have ever been in a relationship has experienced domestic violence. This is equivalent to up to 900,000 women. And in a 2013 Women AIDS Organization report, out of these domestic violence cases, 26 of these cases involve in stalking after the breakup. So this figure is consistent with the statistic of other countries in the United States. A third of domestic violence survivors experience stalking. So based on this figure, it is possible that around 250,000 domestic violence survivors in Malaysia have been stalked by their abuser. So like the real case that I mentioned earlier, that was one of the domestic survivors, right? So comparing statistics in Japan itself, so in 2021 itself, police received up to 83,000 consultation requests regarding on domestic violence. So roughly around 21,000 to 25,000 stalking incidents were reported in Japan, which is up to 87 of the victims are women. Being Japan, it's almost one of the most well-known stalking countries in the world.
So for example, like comparing to others country, right? Countries like USA, Canada, and South Africa, they actually have taken progressive steps in passing specific anti-stalkers laws.
Yeah.
Japan has even introduced the offense of cyber stalking, besides introducing a specific Anti-Stalker Act 2000.
Wow.
So, example, placing a GPS tracking device on a car or location or other location will be illegal. And whereas some countries like India and Germany have incorporated stalking into their respective criminal code, our neighbor country Singapore legislated its version of Protection from Harassment Act in 2014, in which a wide range of acts such as following, loitering, sending or circulating materials of the victims, etc., are recognized as a crime of misdemeanor.
Wow, I think it's really good lah, like Singapore, even Japan.
Yeah, that's why they actually protect their own residents,
Yeah.
their citizens, before something happens to them.
Yeah.
There's one saying that in BNUs they say like always sediakan payung sebelum hujan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what Malaysia should do. Instead of like wait something to happen.
Yeah, actually, just to add on, right? Like, because for my case, I did end up going to the police and stuff. And when I got there and stuff, the inspector he was very helpful and stuff. He was very nice and stuff. But he mainly just, to summarize it all, he just basically said, sorry, to be honest, there's nothing much we can do. We cannot open an investigation and stuff because he didn't do anything to you. So he just followed you and stuff. So, sorry, there's not much we can do. But I mean, I totally understand where he's coming from because, again, there is no law, right? So, yeah, I think it really sucks. I really think that Malaysia should pass this law, making stalking a crime. Even like filing a restraining order in Malaysia is very hard, because you need evidence. You need to like show that this person has been harassing you. How do you do that? Really, how do you do that? If he doesn't have your number or something, he can't contact you, but he follows you around. Like, how are you going to show that you have evidence? It's very hard.
Also, right, I feel like how we see in the US movie or something, they can actually track every car, every vehicle, or every person.
Every little thing they can
with
track.
the CCTV on their street, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like this should be like they should have used in Malaysia also in case something really happens.
Yeah.
And for your case, right, the police said there's nothing much they can do, but actually they could learn from the US that they can actually collect evidence from all the street CCTV. So regarding for this, a lot of effects and all those stalking experiences you guys have met, and how do you think you guys can take care of yourself within Malaysia with the law?
Without the law?
I mean, without the law.
Without the law. How to take care of ourselves? I think since there's no law and we can't really be protected by our own enforcers like the police and stuff, I think we have to just take matters to our own hands. So what we can do is to just mainly to protect ourselves. So what we can do is kind of buy things like pepper spray or avoid those kind of places that the stalker is always hanging around. I mean, you can't really say that to avoid all these places because we need to travel places to do things and continue our daily life. So it's impossible to say like, we need to avoid places. So I think all we can do is maybe take up a course on how to protect yourselves on all those very little things. You can actually see them online. And also, you can kind of like buy, like I said again, pepper spray, or you can have a lot of like those tools now. It's really famous out there. So yeah, basically just buy all those tools to protect yourself.
Yeah, I think also like aside from like doing the physical stuff, also like really raising awareness that this thing is happening. It's not just like what you see in the movies. Like you guys watch right? Like Joe Goldberg is painted to be this such a charming guy and stuff, but in reality, what he's doing is really creepy and he's really sick Like I know that the TV show kind of paints it to be kind of sick, but if you don't experience it yourself, you really don't know the fear that comes when you have to go somewhere alone or when nobody is there with you, and then you have this panic like, oh my gosh, is he gonna come? Oh my gosh, is he gonna just appear there out of nowhere? Yeah. it's quite a scary feeling. So maybe like lobbying for the law, like I don't know, like pushing the law, pushing your MPs and stuff, making sure this law gets passed. Because if I'm not mistaken, there is a law that was kind of written, but it's not passed or anything. I know that there are organizations trying to push for this law, and I really think that they should really continue lah. Like all of us also, we should raise awareness about this situation and stuff like that, because it's a good law lah. And it's a law that protects us lah. Yeah.
Yeah, actually both of you like really point out those things that either girls or boys the victims can do when they are being stalked. Especially when we are trying to live our life, but those they are harming us, they are affecting our lives.
Yeah.
They're stupid too. So that's why a normal going to college, now we have to aware of, we have to plan our safety routes, then we have to vary our plan, like where should we park? Is there more safety or is there more safety?
Yeah.
That's the point. We have to worry so much even though our life is tough already, right? So lobbying the law is really, really, really a very good idea.
Like just push for the law.
Yeah.
Push for it to happen, because we need to protect ourselves either way. We need to continue with our lives. So I think by enforcing this law, it will really, really protect all those people that are being stalked right now. And we don't know how bad it is, how bad the victim is feeling right now. So I think all of us should really push ourselves for this law.
As much as can be said, the WAO actually submitted a memorandum signed by 52 groups and a petition supported by more than 8,500 people. But that was happened in 2013. So until now, the law has been trying to push.
Very long time.
It's
So it
like
takes
9 years.
Yeah.
It takes time, for example, like the law to go through the parliament, the senate, and the ARCO before it was accepted.
And somehow our government has been like voting, and so much thing happens.
So much things happening inside.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to continue pushing, regardless of how long it takes. Just continue pushing to show them that we actually need this more than anything.
As much as it can go, at the moment, that's all we could do. And also learning how to protect ourselves when it comes to legally.
I feel like the most important things for this stalking or being stalked, the most important thing is voice out.
Yes.
This is why we're doing this podcast, because we wanted to voice out as a victim and maybe the perspective of the stalkers. To voice out even when you need help, voice out.
To end all things, I just want to say thank you to Gloria for the co-host and two of our good friends over here to help our podcast.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
So that's it.
Thank you.
Like the host.
Please like.
Please like, share, and subscribe.
I follow.
Don't forget to follow, and then put our all Instagram on.
And put comment, okay? Be like, oh, this is so great. Thank you.
We need the comments and likes.
That's the most important thing.
Very much. For our assignment.
Because
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.